All right, so we've been talking a lot about Brad Holmes and his lack of addressing the media at the trade deadline, his lack of making a move at the trade deadline. And we spoke yesterday about how we needed an offensive lineman. We could have traded for one. We could have traded for, in 2023, you traded for a receiver we didn't need. But in 2025, when our offensive line, forget the defensive line, I can keep dreaming, but you traded for a guy. You could have used an offensive lineman, but you didn't make that trade. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. And I've been watching media. I've been watching Detroit Lions content creators. I've been watching the national media. And I think that the temperature is starting to change. The temperature in the room of Brad Holmes is starting to change. Now, me personally, I think Dan Campbell is safe. But we talked about yesterday about a separation may need to be made between the two buddies, GM and coach. We love to see it. We love to see it, man. We love to see a general manager and coach be locked at the, share the same brain. They don't argue. They're locked at the hip. Whatever you are thinking, I'm thinking, oh, I'll leave it, all that stuff. We'd love to see that. But in reality, just like we're going to discuss later about Jamison Williams and St. Brown and the Detroit Lions maybe lacking some leadership from some of their players, maybe it's time for a separation to be made. But the Lions have been built off of one thing in particular. There's a lot of things that they've been built off of. But the thing that stands out to me is when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are asked about certain people and certain characteristics of the team, what is the number one thing that they say? No amount of talent is going to get you on the Detroit Lions. That's the number one thing that we say, or they say. So in the time that I've been doing this, I've asked the question, is grit going to be enough for the Lions to win a Super Bowl? Now, it hasn't been thus far. That doesn't mean it won't be, but it hasn't been thus far. If you look at how championship teams are built, yes, they're built through the draft, but they are also built on taking risks. You have to be able to take a risk, and not just on a project pick in the draft that you trade up for, but you got to be willing to take a risk. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. We talked about, and again, we're not going to, if we take Jalen Carter, we don't get Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that, that's going to be hard to kind of justify. But at the time, a lot of you still wanted Jalen Carter. Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey, which is unacceptable, but he's a star wide receiver. Not to say that he's guilty or he's free of guilt or he's excused, but are you not going to draft Jamar Chase because he spit on somebody? Right? I'm not saying that Jalen Carter and Jamar Chase, that their, situations are the same. But the point is, both super talented, both capable of helping their team get to the Super Bowl. How long can you not draft or sign for talent? Right? That no amount of talent is going to get you onto the Detroit Lions because it's other factors that we're looking for. Well, you know what? You also need talent. We've had the conversation about Aiden Hutchinson. I think that Aiden Hutchinson is the perfect kind of combination of everything the Lions are looking for. You have the talent to equal what they're looking for, but they're going to choose intangibles. They're going to choose personality. They're going to choose all that stuff over talent. Is that going to be enough? That's the question. Will with the super chat says Brad Holmes will be on the hot seat if the Lions don't make it to the playoffs this year. He was silent during the trade deadline. Oh boy. Yeah, Will. That's an understatement. That's an understatement. I think the noise is going to, if we miss the playoffs, and I know y'all don't like to have this conversation, and you could be right. There's 7 games left. Right now, the Lions are on the outside looking in. They're on the outside, which means that they have to get in. They're running out of times in games to do that. So right now, you need to be better than the Bears. You need to be better than the Packers. You need to be better than the teams that's in the playoffs, right? And right now, we expect that to happen. And it probably will end like that. As a matter of fact, I think the Lions have a better percentage to make the playoffs when it's all said and done than the Chicago Bears do. However, if they don't make the playoffs, oh boy. And you know what's crazy is that a lot of the media pundits, before the season started had us missing the playoffs. If they're right, the noise about Brad Holmes, I think you'll hear a little bit about Dan Campbell, but I think the noise of Brad is going to be loud because you're going to reflect and you're going to say, hey, you kept signing injured guys. Hey, you drafted injured guys. Hey, you didn't make a move at the trade deadline, right? All of the flaws. See, here's the thing. And we go by, there's something that really stood out to me within the past few years, especially in football. There's a saying, winning cures everything. But I was watching a coach, and this was a few years ago, and it was like an NFL films, and they said, he was like, I forgot who it was, but they were like, winning doesn't cure everything, it covers everything. And that's what's been happening with the Detroit Lions for the past couple of seasons, right? That's why think about this, we finished 9-8, because I don't know about y'all, but the air feels different than it did a few years ago. In 2022, we didn't make the playoffs, but we were excited about the year to come, and we had every right to be. Hutch was going into year 2. We didn't even get to see Jamison Williams in 2022 like that. So we had, and the way that we were the 8th seed ending 2022, starting 1-6. So we had all the reason in the world to be excited. Then 2023 comes. There was a phrase that used to grind my gears, man. We're in year 3 of a rebuild. Year 3 of a rebuild, okay? That used to grind my gears because it's like, okay, but you're rebuilding or not, right? Year 3, how many years are we going to keep doing this? Year 4 of a rebuild? Nobody used that last year. And this year, you forget about it. But I think that we are coming off of that peak of 2 years ago when we went to the NFC Championship game. We were in year 3 of a rebuild. Now we're in year 5. Nobody says that anymore. But as we enter year 6 and we don't have a Super Bowl appearance, you're going to hear a different story. C. Poole with the super chat says the Broncos, Seahawks, and Rams have built in less than 2 seasons without 2 first-round picks for 2 years. And you know what, C? That's something that people are going to start to question. And we talked about it yesterday, that the Rams had one down year. They sold the farm, and they did. They sold the farm for Jalen Ramsey. They sold the farm for Matthew Stafford. They tried to sell the farm for Brian Burns. This team was not going to have a first-round pick for like 8 years. They did what they had to do, and it paid off. And to be honest with you, we've been on the come up, and we're going to regress simply because we're not going to win. We already regressed. We're not going to win 15 games. That's impossible. But now it's a matter of, okay, well, you get to the playoffs. Are you going to get bounced in the wild card? Are you going to get bounced in the division? Right now, we have to make it to not regress in 2025. We have to make it to the NFC Championship game, right? That's not a regression from the previous year. It's a regression from the overall goal, but we have to get, so that's what the Detroit Lions are up against this year, is to get to the NFC title game to not regress. If they don't do that, the earlier the Lions get eliminated, the louder the noise is going to be in 2026. And I think it's going to be one man. I know y'all love the dude. He's done a lot for this team. He has in a short time. But we talked about it the other day about him peaking. The past 2 years, Brad Holmes has not had 2 first-round picks. And the past 2 years, they haven't been that great. And then look at it like this. The better we get, the further the picks go back, right? So we sucked in 2020. We get Penei Sewell at 7. We sucked in 2021. We were 1 game away from the first-round pick. We get Aiden Hutchinson. The worse you are, the earlier you pick. Everyone knows that. We go 9-8 in 2022. We pick in the middle of the pack. But the Rams sucked. So because the Rams sucked in 2022, we were picking 6th. Brad Holmes traded back, got Jahmyr Gibbs. Now we're that middle of the pack team that gets eliminated at near the end of the first round, right? We're picking 28, 29. Terrion was chosen at 24. I think we traded up, right? A couple spots to get him, if I'm not mistaken. Then we're picking 20 whatever. Take Tyreek. So now we're up against late round picks. So to me, you have to hit on those late round pick, that late first round pick. You got to hit on it. So again, this is not, I have never knocked Brad Holmes. Like it's never been, oh, I can't stand you. Oh, this, it's, hey, you have a job to do. Like for instance, we're really going to see what Brad is made of. You know why? He did not draft Frank Ragnow. He did not draft Taylor Decker, but he's going to have to get both. Well, is Tyreek the replacement for Frank? I'm sorry, not Tyreek. Tate. Is Tate the replacement for Frank? What are you going to do about that left tackle? You going to move Panay over there and then draft the? So the anchors, 2 of the 3 anchors on the offensive line were drafted by the previous regime, right? So we're going to see what Brad is really made of as we go into year 6. And I told you guys this before. If we don't make the Super Bowl, the noise is going to be loud. It's going to be loud. So let me know your thoughts. This is not me just saying it. Some of you feel it. You feel it all in your soul. You feel it all in your bones. That the noise, the novelty of being a good team is wearing off. Because for any other franchise, they don't have the tolerance level that we have. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they want to get rid of Mike Tomlin. A lot of the fans are like, yo, we are tired of 20 years of just being good. I can't be mad at them. You got John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan. They making the Super Bowls, but they're not winning it. Some of them are ready for a change, right? So I'm just saying the time will come. We'll see. We'll see. This year is big. It's always been big. Year 5 has always been big because the better you are, like Dan was saying, why are fans freaking out? Because the bar has been set high. You can't lower the bar now. The bar is only up. If you win a Super Bowl, what are you expected to do? Win another one, right? If you get to the playoffs, what are you expected to do? Go to further the next year. If the Lions start regressing, it's going to be a conversation, and it's going to happen in year 6. Year 6, ladies and gentlemen, we blinked our eye, and we're going into year 6. We are 2 months away from year 6. If the Lions don't make the Super Bowl, we're 2 months away from year 6. 2 months from now will be the season-ending press conferences. That's the next time we'll see Brad. He's going to have a lot to answer for if the Lions don't make the Super Bowl.